Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's up? My name is David Connelly.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
My name is David Connelly. I'm 5'9".
Like long walks on the beach?
Yes. And let's see, I make conscious rap. And what else is there?
That's kind of the gist of it. Just a little bit about, who you are. Why don't you tell us what got you started in music initially?
I think there's a couple moments. You know that song, what is it? Teardrops on My Guitar or something?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but with the piano.
Okay.
My mom wanted me to take piano lessons, and I was liking it, but she was just so strict. I was just, it was just bad.
Yeah, just every day, just kind of get back to practicing.
Yeah, and that fell behind, and then I started seeing stuff at school, things like talent shows, whatnot. I thought, oh, these kids are so cool. But I was really too afraid to try anything really with that. And then I just started listening to more kind of rap stuff. And, just going out into these assemblies we had at school, just feeling so cool walking in to the gym to Kanye West Stronger, things like that.
Yep.
Like, oh, I'm not even doing anything. I feel so cool. And I thought, moments like that, and then also just going to school and riding my bike through town, I used to listen to Pandora beats. Just a bunch of different beats that would come up from stuff like Black Mill to Dr. Dre's Explosive, stuff like that. I just thought, oh, this sounds so cool. And it was nice, just in the summer, riding your bike to school and back from school, things like that.
Damn. Yeah, I feel like that was one of the big moments. Was it when did you decide to start making music?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. There probably is a defining moment, but I sort of kind of see it as kind of like it's building up, but right, it has to build up somewhere. So I can recall after I graduated high school and came down, moved in with him in his apartment in Clackamas, and I got outside my room and he said, I heard you humming in there again. Like, is everything okay? And so I think that was one of them. But I was also, even before then, when we had phones like Blackberries and things like that, those kind of cool flip phones, I was typing stuff into my phone and just coming up with rhymes about stuff. But I never really put anything out. I think I was too afraid at that time.
Gotcha. Okay, so you were putting in the work, you just like didn't quite know like what direction to like go with it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, was anybody in your household or like your family musical at all? Like, I know your mom wanted you to play piano. Did she also play piano, or is like anybody around you musically inclined?
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't really think anyone in my family plays stuff. So my mom, she liked piano as a hobby and things like that. Like, she would go off on For Elise, and Midnight Sonata was
yes, her old classics.
Yeah, that was her realm right there. But aside from that, I think maybe she wanted me to do something like that, or she would just put in all these things in front of me to see what I would latch onto. So she was just super, extracurricular heavy.
Gotcha.
Things like that.
Okay, so she wanted you to be doing something for sure, but she wasn't like, I know the piano, so you have to know the piano. That was just like the big thing she kind of pointed you towards.
Yeah, I think, and then from there, going back to my mom I remember she got me this laptop. I can just remember I was trying to mess around on the Fruity Loops, making these terrible beats. But I thought, there's something kind of there, though. And I don't make beats really at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's another world to me. But I think that sets some things in motion.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that all sounds like some pretty key elements that led you to where you are today. But before we officially get into what you're doing now, I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. This first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh, I think it was a Linkin Park album.
Okay.
Either Hybrid Theory or Meteora. But I think if I'm being, I think my mom got that for me.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, Mom.
Shout out, Mom.
But the one that I know for sure, remember I bought a vinyl of How I Got Over by The Roots. And I would just play that nonstop for a while. And I was just doing laundry or just in my room, and I loved it.
No, that's a quality album for sure. And to have it on vinyl, I bet felt really good. I for those of you off camera can't see it, I have a small collection myself, and there's something about large tangible media that just, I hope it never goes away. I'm glad it's coming back, but that's neither here nor there. What was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to?
Oh gosh. I remember it was a pivotal moment for me because I remember I went to go see Lupe Fiasco on his tour for the fans when he came to Portland in 2016, and it was January 20th, I think.
Oh man, got the date.
Yeah, he's a big inspiration for me, so it's so cool to see that. And his performance was so electric. I thought, wow.
Oh, Lupe is
incredible.
Lupe is incredible. It kind of bums me out that he like simmered away from the spotlight for a little bit. And like, I know he was dealing with like contractual obligation stuff and things like that. But like his new stuff that's coming out now is really, I really like it. I think it's really enjoyable. Tetsuo and Youth was kind of strange to me, to be honest. Like, I get it. But the stuff he like just dropped an album and I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Samurai.
Yeah, and it's so good. It's so good because it feels like old Lupe but grown up.
Yeah, and I think this kind of the stuff that he probably would be putting out.
Yeah,
if he wasn't under some contract.
Well, now I think he's past that. I think that's why we're getting music.
Yeah,
and I think he finally got through that window. But yeah, he is a name that I wish people accredited more because especially during like the Kick Push era and things like that, and all of the Cool. I mean, the Cool is a phenomenal album. I go back to it so often because it's just it's I don't know. Sorry, I'll talk about him for a minute. And this is your interview, so let's get back into it. Before we officially talk about you in the here and now, I guess you kind of touched on and said you didn't exactly have one, but can you think of a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
I remember there's this moment. I thought I was tossing it back and forth in my head, and I had recorded on crappy USB mics off my
old snowballs,
on my crap top.
Okay,
that couldn't run anything. But after I was done with that, I thought, I should get an interface and level up, dude. I should go for it. And so I did it. It's not hard now with the internet.
No.
You know what? Let's do it. And then cut to, I was at this place in the Hollywood district in Portland. And I was just in the closet, just recording a verse of something. And I thought, you know what? This feels good. I could do this. I think there's something here. And so that was one of those big moments.
Damn. Yeah. That's a huge moment.
That was a coming out of
Yeah. Yes. But no, that is a super cool moment. Do you remember what interface you bought?
Oh, I've just been a Scarlett guy.
Okay. Well, focus.
Just a solo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's I've definitely heard some cool things made. I worked at Guitar Center for 10 years, and a grip of it was in pro audio even when I was in management. So I'm very familiar with all that stuff. But now, like I said, let's go ahead and get on into you in the present day. We are going to knock out what I think is a super easy one. How'd you pick the name?
Oh, gosh. It was just handed to me on a silver platter. But going back, there's a project I put out a while ago before this one I put out. It was a mixtape that I recorded at Echo the Savage's place.
Oh, shout out Echo.
Shout out,
yeah.
Echo the Savage. And where were we going?
How you picked your name.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, so on that, I used the name Dave Con because because that's the name all the kids in high school called me. I think it was like a nickname of sorts, right? Because it's just to the point.
Yep.
And I put it out under that, but I thought, I don't know if I really like it, so I just went with the whole name. Just because Dave Con, it sounds like I'm supposed to be this hard guy.
Yeah, I could definitely
Dave East or something.
Yeah, definitely. For being very short and to the point, it's just got the right amount of harsh tones in it. Whereas David Connelly, I think, feels very not so much proper, but like inviting. It feels very comfortable. And I mean,
it sounds like an author.
Yeah, actually, kind of. Yeah. It's good for conscious hip hop.
Yes,
like it definitely fits well in that range.
Yeah, and I didn't want to try to come up with the name.
It's tough, especially nowadays. So many cool ones have come up with that. It's like you accidentally make it like one that sounds like somebody without even realizing it. And there's nothing worse than thinking you came up with a cool one and then finding out like 5 other people have it.
Yeah, I was telling my friend that. I was telling him there's literally 72 people on here with the same name.
Yeah,
I was gonna find.
Yeah, it can definitely be tough at times.
But it's funny though. If you look me up on YouTube, there's some British guy with the same name.
Oh.
He just has these hour-long reviews of
Wait, what does he review?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but it's just funny. His picture is hilarious.
You need to make a music video now that like parodies him, but like, tastefully, obviously. But then make the thumbnail like very similar to his. So that like you'll just get accidental clicks of people being like, dude, this isn't who I thought it was. But also
I'll have to get that collab.
I was gonna say, yeah, or you could just hit him up, see if he'll be a feature.
Yeah, we're coming.
Everybody at him in the No, I'm kidding.
David X David.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Dave and Dave. Oh, there's something there, but we'll come up with that more off camera.
Yeah.
why don't we talk about your writing process? When you get, we'll break it up into chunks, but let's start right at the beginning. When you get inspired, you're ready to make some music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Oh, gosh. There was a track I got sent to me from my friend Seraph. Shout out Seraph. I'm going to be shouting out a lot of people. Name drop central. And I got the beat and I was just playing it in the car and things like that. And just putting things down into voice memos.
Mm-hmm.
Just humming things. And then, after a while, something will stick. And you think, oh, okay, I have something here. And if I'm not doing that, then I usually just loop the beat, right? The classic thing to do. And just ask myself, oh, what am I feeling? And what is the vibe? And I usually try to match the tone of the beat or get as close as possible. And then usually there'll be a line that I think of in the moment that just I feel is that song. And it usually stems from that line. And then it becomes this whole process of putting the puzzle together of where things fit. And I always see it as building a statue in a way. You put it all up and then you carve away chunks here and there. And then, you stand back and look away at it.
Yeah.
You think, oh, do I need to add more or take more away? Things like that. But yeah, most of it is written down. I usually go to the notebook. And then, so the rough draft is notebook. And then I take it to Google Docs for the final press. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hell yeah. And as far as like beat selection goes, do you have like people you get beats from? Do you do the old YouTube and BeatStar? Or like how do you go about curing your beat selection?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because another name drop.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. So on the album I put out, about half the beats are from my friend Seraph. Shout out Seraph. And another guy named Marcus D. And he's originally from Seattle, but now he's based in Tokyo. So, I got to meet him. That was awesome. And then I went home with a folder of beats from him to comb through. And I remember even before that, meeting him, I bought a beat from him a while ago. I think that was on, it was on his site. But I've been combing through his BeatStars too.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah. No, I dig that. And then once you get a track finished writing, like it doesn't have to exactly be like released per se, but once you've gotten it to the point where you're ready to like memorize it and get it out there, how long does it usually take you to get comfortable to the point where you feel like you can perform a track?
I'd probably say about a few days to a week to be comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you like remember most of your tracks, or is it one of those things where it's like you kind of got to polish it off and refresh before each performance?
Oh gosh. The easy ones are the ones where there's hooks in there and things that are catchy. There's a few tracks that I have on the album though that are more extended verses. And I was going through them. I would just pace around and take it in chunks and see, okay, I can break it up. Okay, I'll do 4 bars at a time until I can get through the whole thing. And then just keep practicing every day.
Hell yeah.
And
I'm always super envious of anybody who does any kind of vocals live because words always escape me, which you'd think doing this all the time it wouldn't, but whenever it comes to like performance and words, I can just never pull it together. So anytime someone's like, oh yeah, I just learned these things and then I can do them, I'm like super impressive because it is not my skill. But now let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your music. So I jumped on ye old Spotify And technically, you've got music going back to 2021, but that was only a couple of tracks, and then there was kind of a little bit of a gap, and then most of it seems to be 2024 at the moment, so this year.
Yep.
But I kind of want to focus on your current album, because first of all, it's super cool. Big fan. I've listened to it a handful of times since you reached out to initially be on the show, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher the name, but I'm going to try it anyways. Is it HàFU 2? Or is it HàFU? The A with the line over
one.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's HàFU 2.
Yep.
And then, hold on. Is it SHIKATAGANAI?
SHIKATAGANAI.
All right, that was close. I gave it a go.
Yeah.
I gave it a go. I'm not even going to try to say half the song names.
Yeah.
But it's a super solid album. And like I said, it's huge. It's 18 tracks. It's just a hair over an hour long. It's got a great variety of beats. I think that was something that really stood out to me. It doesn't get stale at any point in the listen through. And you have a really cool sound. Like,
oh, thank you.
Like, it's this interesting mix of like old school and new, if that makes sense. Like, I couldn't quite pin it down, but it was like classic in its like delivery, but modern in its sound. And it kind of met somewhere in the middle. So it felt like comfortable, but interesting at the same time. And like I said, you change it up a little bit in each track that I think it really gives it like this feel like all the way through, especially for, like I said, being a lengthier album, which nowadays is a little less common. You know, usually people are like, 7 songs is enough.
Yeah.
Put out a whopping 18 and kept it engaging. And usually I do this bit where I pick out a track that I personally enjoyed, and I almost couldn't do it because there was just so much. And I kept forgetting to listen for moments and just kept listening, if that makes sense. So I was like just caught in it. But after many listen throughs, I finally landed on Black Mirror.
Oh,
and it first of all, the beginning. I know it seems so silly, but the quick little fill with the little bass diddle in the beginning, and then jumping right into the track.
Ding,
yeah,
ding.
It just grabs you right away. Yeah. And like for being that late in the album, like being able to pull something out like that, super rad. And just everything just melds together so well. It just, I mean, your flow was locked in. There was all these little like sound effects that were just really like engaging the whole way through. And then the part that locked it down for me, the part that I was like, all right, this is it for sure. The saxophone in the hook.
Oh yeah.
It was, you know, when you hear something, you're like, this is exactly what needs to be here. That was exactly what needed to be there. And the track it's just a really cool track. Like, I'm a big fan of it. The hook was super good. Like, it's a good, like, if someone was like, hey, I want to check out this album, what's the first one I should go to? I'd be like, well, obviously you should start at the beginning, but if you have to pick one somewhere else, start with this one. And I think like I said, I had a hard time picking one, so I had to land on it eventually, but that is a really fun track.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, if you want to hear that, I will be doing that at the day shift.
Okay.
But that beat was Marcus D.
Shout out Marcus.
And the thing about that, it's crazy you brought that up because I'm going to do that one today.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that was the first beat I got from him. So I shut out the cache to get that, and I just sat on that for a long time because it was so hard for me to think of what to write to it. And I wanted to talk about, like, just hearing the beat, it sounded like it needed some kind of talk about technology. So I was just trying to think of all these things. And then I thought it was kind of cool how there's kind of a clash. Because the hook, it sounds more organic, and then the verses are kind of more metallic in a way. So I thought, but yeah, the sound was so cool. I just couldn't come up with anything for so long. And even he said, yeah, it's a hard beat to write to. And, you know, we did it after how long?
No, I mean, you definitely nailed it. Big fan.
Yeah.
But I am curious to know now, what are some of your favorite tracks to perform?
Oh, gosh. Well, there's one on the tip of my tongue that I haven't really done much of, which is Stratosphere. I pulled it out maybe once or twice. But I think the title track, "SHIKATAGANAI," could be up there. But pretty much any song with one of those traditional hooks that can just reel people in, so it makes it easier. Like a crowd favorite right now is "The Breakfast in Tsukiji."
Mm-hmm.
I was at the
I almost picked that.
Oh,
That was definitely almost the one I went with.
yeah, it's up there. Everyone was telling me, "Oh, yeah, Breakfast in Tsukiji." I was at the day shift and Bobby Bars. Shout out Bobby Bars.
Yeah, shout out Bobby.
And he it's so hilarious. He said, "Yeah, what is that song? Breakfast with zucchini and some eggs?" Yeah, I like that.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, that was
That's
hilarious.
a fun one. That's a fun one. But yeah, no, it is a super cool track.
Yeah, so everyone likes that.
Hell yeah.
So it's cool though to you work on things and you take your time to put something together and people take it
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they like it. So that's always what does it for me.
Yeah, and definitely, like I said, listen to the album. It feels put together. I think that kind of goes a long way, especially for being like the key piece of work that you have at the moment. Because you do have a handful of singles, but I feel like almost all of the singles ended up on the album, if not all of them, at least for what's on Spotify. And so it's cool kind of seeing that as your like at least what's available for their like the key album, and to like get to experience it and not have it feel like a first album. You know what I mean? Like it feels very put together. And I think especially with all of that you have available, I imagine you could probably make like 3 or 4 set lists just off the album if you wanted and rotate through them, and it would always be
exactly.
it would always be interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing, and I kind of changed it up. Right now I'm kind of going by season, what songs I think sound good. I'm so shifting here and there, but also songs that I haven't done, so it stays fresh.
Yeah.
But back to that, like talking more about putting it together. It was a pride thing of wanting to put out an album, because I was thinking, I really want this to be a definitive thing.
Yeah.
I can say, okay, I did this. I remember when I got done recording with Echo out in Beaverton, I put out that was technically my first album. That was a mixtape. And after that, I thought, oh, this is cool. And I want to make this into a trilogy. So I set out on trying to come up with the next chapter of it. And I thought, okay, I wanted to make it taken from 3-act structure. I thought, okay, we'll make this darker, a little more sad. And I took those 2 tracks that I recorded with him, Despairing and Angels and Demons. I put them on the album too. And then I was trying to build around it. And there's kind of 2 tones on the album. There's, with Marcus D, his beats are really organic and warm sounding because he uses a lot of analog stuff. But then on the other hand, my friend Seraph, he's in FL mostly and more digital stuff, but his stuff sounds cool too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a merge blending of that stuff. And just like making this, I wanted to make it, a layered thing. And so I was thinking, okay, so we have about half the tracks from one producer, half the tracks from the other. And then, also the different tonal sounds. But it's not just sad.
Yeah.
I wanted to end it with a bit of, joy. And so it ends with Concha or gratitude. And so where am I going?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot in there, and especially it's just, it's also been a little while since it's been out now, and I imagine you're working on newer stuff. So the train of thought probably kind of takes away after a while, but that's kind of a really good insight to the putting together of the album. And while I would love to dig into it more, this will slowly turn into a tuned in episode if we do. So I actually want to move on to some new music, stuff that hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
What can we look forward to as far as like new sounds, new approaches? What are you doing with tracks that you're working on that haven't been released?
Well, I'm currently working on a project that I want to put out next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, excuse me. I'm currently in the writing and recording process right now.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's just beats from Seraph. And I'm planning to put this album out on Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay.
It'll be more lovey-dovey sounds, kind of softer, and basically dedicate a body of work to relationships and feelings. Because I was thinking there's a lot, like most popular music nowadays is just centered around that. Where when it's not even, they're not really consciously making an effort, but it could be a line or something. Like all aspects of that, like, oh, I love you, things like that, or yeah, I'm with your chick and she on my. So stuff like that. But kind of like more pure sounding.
Yeah.
But also trying to find a variety of different flavors.
And is this going to be like maybe a little more like R&B influenced, or are you still going to kind of stay in that realm of like conscious hip hop?
So it's there'll be some where it sounds like more singing, like sing-songy stuff.
Yeah, a little more melodic, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And it'll sound kind of like some tracks are influenced by Ryan Carvale. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, definitely looking forward to that. I think that's going to be an interesting, like, contrast isn't the right word, but that'll be an interesting body of work to experience, definitely based on, like, the first one. And I think it's cool that you're doing it intentionally. I think I've mentioned this in some way or another in many, many episodes now, but like doing stuff with intention is always kind of the key part to music. Like wanting to do something is the biggest part of the battle, and like being able to come up with it, and just it's cool because, like I said, I'm very familiar with this album now, but having you describe that, like I'm starting to try and imagine what will come from it next, or like what that's going to look like. So I'm super excited to hear that when it comes out, because now, having that kind of that imagery, it's like it feels like it can be very open, and that's fun for me. Like as a listener, I'm really excited to see where it goes next. But now let's take a moment and let's zoom out. Let's look at kind of music as a whole. What are some of the things about either new music in general, or at least new music to you, so stuff you're hearing for the first time, that you enjoy and you find inspiration in?
Let's see. Music I'm listening to now?
Yeah, or just like I said, stuff that's like newer to you. So not like, not the stuff you've been listening to forever, but what's stuff that you've either found recently or has come out recently that you are like, oh, this is cool?
Let's see. Well, so since the album is really, I'd say heavily influenced by the guy I just mentioned, Ryan Carvale. So I've been digging into his stuff recently because I like his sound where if you look back to his stuff, he was first going with this aggressive sound, but he sounded like everybody else in Seattle trying to do that style of like the traditional rap. But now just to see the evolution that he's gone on through his career. So now it's more of a melodic sound, but yet he's talking about these feelings, and it kind of penetrates your soul almost. Because he has his production is very unique. And so it just works. When it's like, it clashes, but it doesn't clash. So there's him, and gosh, obviously there's the Lupe album came out. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
it's always so cool. I always get inspired when I hear him put out stuff. Because wow, I remember I looked up the video to one of the tracks that he did the music video for recently, and it was saying something like, "Oh, this is golden Lupe. This sounds like vintage Lupe," and it sounded so cool. And it's like, wow. It kind of takes me back to when I saw him years ago. You know, I didn't know what coat check was, so I was just in there with this huge blue jacket my grandparents got me, jumping up and down. But yeah, things like that. I'm trying to think. I really liked what are they? The Kings of Leon.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think a couple years back, they put out this album. They put out another one too recently.
Yeah,
I really liked. I'm blanking on the name.
Oh, believe me, if I had $1 for every name I've forgotten, I would be a very rich man.
Something like "Where Are You?" or
"Where Are You?" Sorry, I couldn't leave that one alone. That's my one joke for the week.
There you go. It eludes me at this time. But stuff like that, I think Ecstasy, stuff like that. There's also this group called the Girlfriends, or just Girlfriends. Heard of them?
Yeah, no, nope. I do know who you're talking about. Sorry, I mixed them up with a name that's similar that is now escaping me. So I can't. I was thinking this for a second, but I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah, they have this kind of punky sound. Yeah, I like stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty solid list right there. I think we won't have to dig too much further into that. That sounds like a pretty broad experience. And I mean, just there's always music. You know what I mean? It's a never ending list. I mean, just the first year of my show was me just picking out songs to talk about, and I had to stop at 3,200 of them. So there's always stuff. But that, like I said, that is all pretty quality stuff to go through at this point. But I have one more question I want to get through in this middle portion before we move on to the next segment. Okay. And this is probably the densest question in the interview. But we've talked a lot about, experience with music, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and the music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Like I said in the last one, the first thing that comes to mind is music is so inspiring. And it gives you that motivation to go another day. Some people say, "Oh, I'd be dead if it wasn't for so-and-so artist." And, "Oh, I love these guys. I love that lady who's making that stuff." And, I remember back to the How I Got Over album. I kind of think of that. I remember I started listening to The Roots back, just kind of really not knowing what I wanted to do. And just loving that idea of rap as this hustling conduit, right? And so really identifying with that and just seeing stuff like that everywhere, with music. Music pairs with restaurants, people not even dining there, but also, actually working there. They always have music playing. And, so that's another motivator.
It's actually really weird. I never considered how the music has permeated the way that we occupy space. You go to a retail place and there's always music playing.
Yeah, and they have their playlist.
Yeah, and it's always uncomfortable if it's not. When you walk into a place like that and there's not music playing, you're just even if you don't notice it right away, it is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and just how it's just all over the place, and you can, just the vibes that music gives off, right? maybe it's not even something you listen to, but you hear it and it sounds so cool. Or you hear it in somebody's car going down the street.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that song, The Box.
Mm-hmm.
That was everywhere. And it's just crazy to see, all these different people that listen to it, right? Or you're looking up people that listen to your stuff and you're saying, oh my gosh, people are listening here, there. So, yeah, there's all these different things.
I remember the first time I got my first international listener. Shout out Germany one time.
Germany.
Yeah, that was where it popped up. I was like, how?
Wow.
Where? Why? So that is like secretly my favorite Spotify like statistic, when you can look and see all over the world where people are listening.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah. But I mean, not to run away from what you were saying, like I think you touched on it really well. And I really appreciate your answer, because it's cool to hear that you experience kind of music permeating regular space. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like it's kind of a bigger realm for you than just like, oh, I listen to it when I'm sad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it feels like it holds a pretty big place in your regular existence.
Yeah, well, it's crazy too, because, going back to what you said, it'd be kind of crazy if there was no music.
Yeah. Well, like, I guess back in the
very
day,
dystopian.
Way back in the day, they didn't have music playing in places. You know what I mean? Even though it's like music existed, like you had to be at home to like hear it, or even before you could get it at home, you had to like go to a place to hear it. You didn't just walk into the grocery store and there was a band playing in the corner every time. So that is like I said, that's a strange concept for me to realize how much music, because like I'm one of those people who I always have a soundtrack of some sort going in my head, but I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that music is happening in so many places all the time. There's something here to this that I'm trying to uncover as I'm talking, and I'm realizing I'm not going to do it here on your episode, but I am going to sit with this after, and now I am very excited. Okay. So thank you for sharing your insight on that. But now let's go ahead and let's move on to some hypothetical questions.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Oh, let's see. Off the bat, I love Joji.
Okay.
I think his sound is so cool. I really love his textures.
Yeah.
That he puts in his beats.
And
just, it's so moody. And just, oh my gosh, I remember I was listening to, what is it? I think Glimpse of Us or something like that. And I was just tearing up. And it'd be cool. It'd be cool just to hear him make a bunch of beats.
Yeah.
Or put a song together. Maybe just me record something over his stuff. And another one, though, I'd like to work with Fantagram. That'd be cool.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, that's actually a really cool choice.
Yeah, I thought, And then the thing between both of those artists, I think they're so hilarious. Sarah Barthel is so hilarious. I thought, it'd be so nice just have a meal with them.
Yeah.
Just enjoy that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Just laugh.
Those are all solid answers.
Yeah.
And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
I remember this song that I was really liking. It was called Feeling Violent by Wayne Gray and YTC.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Wayne Gray.
Yeah, that song, I love to make something like that. That kind of sound. Because it's like a little edgy.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to see what I could come up with on that collab.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, you know what to do. At Wayne in the comments. And thank you, Wayne. All right. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits. And it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. And it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Oh, gosh. I'm thinking either A dream of mine is to play a show in Japan, but for just a crazy venue, it'd be cool to play in. They have this famous canal in Nakameguro where there's a bunch of cherry blossoms. It'd be cool to play inside of that canal, or on the flip side, just playing in the sky above Tokyo and just seeing all the lights at night.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Hell yeah. Oh, I wonder how you would pull that off. Blimp, maybe?
Some David Blaine stuff.
Yeah. Oh, God. Stop putting shit on our bodies, David Blaine. No, that's a deep.
How was he up there?
Deep lore. And then to wrap it all up, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
You know, going back to when I was listening to those beats, Daft Punk came up. And I just remember songs like Homework and the Discovery album. I really love that kind of music you could listen to anywhere.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the gym or just at home, lounging, cooking dinner, stuff like that. And I know those two guys have so much stuff in the vault, like a Prince kind of vault. But those guys are just so particular with what they put out.
Yeah.
So it probably won't happen, but it'd be cool to have another piece from them. And I know they put out, they're pretty much B-sides, which I ate up. But it'd just be cool to see one more drop.
Yeah.
As I say, like, just one more.
What was your thoughts on them doing the Tron soundtrack?
Oh, I thought that was so cool. I remember that was even, I think, back when I was still listening to the Pandora and I was hearing the de-resed versions. I thought, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. No, that was such an interesting moment for music because, like, it was their first time really being back after, like, taking a bit of space. And so that one, I think, caught a lot of people's attention in a really interesting way.
Yeah.
It was still so appropriate. Man, I realized nobody really brings up Daft Punk on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Damn.
Dang.
Shout out Daft Punk. If you guys are watching. Thanks. All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and February?
Oh, gosh. Now in February? Oh,
well, you're going to have a new album coming out.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah, I'm working on a project. I'm trying to drop. My plan is to drop it on Valentine's Day. Lovey-dovey stuff.
You have a name picked out yet?
I do, but I don't want to say that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Because I always have this feeling someone's going to take the name if I put it out there. Because I'm not superstitious.
No, I gotcha.
But a little stitious. But I also have this coming up.
Hell yeah.
The Music for the Soul. I've linked up with a few artists in town just from meeting at an open mic, and we're trying to put together our own shows. So this would be the first show coming up, which is the 30th of this month, the end of this month.
Okay, so in a few weeks from now.
Yeah, a few weeks.
If you're watching this the day it came out.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
If you're watching it a month after, it would have been a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so that, and we're looking, depending on the turnout, we'd love to build this to an actual venue. Just kind of taking, I remember like inspiration from Chain Taylor.
Oh, Chain Taylor. Chain, yeah.
And just
not on the camera at the moment. There's Apothecary.
Just, seeing what he did with the Flow show is super cool. Because I remember I went out there one time. I got to do a couple songs. That was back when I had just the Angels and Demons and Despairing. I did those, and we were performing outside of the actual venue of the Growski at the time when COVID was happening. And then now just to see him have these venues, things like that, is super cool to see. So we'd love to do something like that, with our little backyard shows first.
Hey, they all start somewhere.
Yeah.
But, if you want some like input on how to put it all together after this, let me know, and I have some stuff I could share with you.
Oh,
Well, we won't
I'll
we
be
won't bore
talking to you
people with
after this.
details on here. And then for this next part, go ahead and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
okay. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Dave Con Artist. That is Dave CONN Artist. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Okay, we're gonna go through it. So we're gonna shout out my friend Seraph.
Mhm.
We got Fro Simeon. We got Bricks Nation. We got Sticky LaQuasar 503. Yes, sir. And we got Zaiku. We got, of course, I mentioned Shane Taylor, Alana Rich, Rain Ezra,
Oh, shout out Rain.
the best in the West. Let's see. Oh, Echo the Savage, and everyone else I've met here in Portland and Vancouver. Oh, Bobby Bars and Jay Reed.
In
the morning. All right.
All right. And with that being said, we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second.
Okay.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
I mentioned this album. Well, not the album, but I mentioned this artist in a song of mine. And the guy's name is Cool Calm Pete. And he has this album called Wishes and Luck. And it's really cool. It sounds like MF Doom inspired. And it's this Korean American guy. And I think he's from New York, but it sounds like something you'd hear someone put out from California. And so it has that, you know, like I said, that MF sound.
Yeah.
Kind of eccentric style, but it sounds cool. It's laid back, groovy. And he has a bunch of skits that, you know, really remind me of MF Doom, that kind of stuff. So I definitely say that. His name, again, is Cool Calm Pete, Wishes and Luck. And it's funny, he has this line in there where he says, everything's all about marketing now. And that's just an aside. It's not even a bar, but it's just kind of there as a part of like the artsy transition stuff. But I thought, just always thinking back to that. It's like, it's so true.
Damn. Yeah, we talked about that a little off camera.
Yeah.
So, but that is a super cool rec. I'm actually not familiar with that artist, so I am super excited to check it out. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm David Connelly.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.